Hey everyone. I got some mail today, so let's talk about delivery semantics and Kafka messaging guarantees. I can't think of a better time to do this. So let's use this unruly pile of mail to understand the different messaging guarantees that our Kafka producers can use when writing into our Kafka cluster. But what are the different messaging guarantees? I would love to tell you. It all centers around once, right? We have at most once, at least once, and exactly once. So at most once messaging guarantee, this is also described as fire and forget, right? This is an asynchronous way for the producer to send messages quickly with a low latency so that it can move on to the next message as quickly as possible. In this case, it doesn't really matter if a message or two doesn't make it. We've got enough of them, it'll be fine. So what is this in mail? So for better or for worse, I would argue that at most once is how your regular everyday mail is handled, right? You stamp your letter, you put it in the mail, and then you forget about it. And in that case, all you can do is hope that it gets to where it's supposed to go, ultimately. So I know that I can't be the only person who gets a little nervous every time they mail a letter, right? You never know if it's going to get lost, if the address is going to get smudged, or maybe I forgot to put a stamp on it completely, so it's all my fault and it's never going to get there. So if at most once makes you just a little bit nervous, maybe at least once is a better guarantee. So with at least once, if for any reason the producer doesn't receive an acknowledgement that its message has been delivered, and this could be due to a couple different reasons, right? It could be due to an error on the producer side. It could be due to something going on with the broker. It doesn't matter. In this case, the producer is going to try to resend the message. So in the case that that message was actually delivered and stored on the broker, this is going to result in extra messages or duplicate messages being stored on the cluster. So at least once, in this case, these are our spam mailers, right? So here I've got many of the same mailer. So I'm not really sure what went on the back ends of these magazines, of these catalogs, but there was a blip this month and I received 2 of each. Wonderful. Straight in the recycling. If the catalog company had used idempotence, as is the default for Kafka Producers since version 0.11, their system could have handled the duplicate catalog and only sent me 1, right? So what's left? Exactly once. So exactly once guarantees require a little bit more work both on the producer side and the consumer side of things. So on the Kafka producer side, we're going to utilize transactions, which have also been available since version 0.11. And this is going to help us provide a stronger guarantee than idempotence. On the consumer side of things, we can set the isolation level to read committed to ensure that only messages from committed transactions, very official committed transactions, are actually read by the consumer. So how do we get exactly once in mail? How do we ensure that we're only going to get things once? Be extra sure that our producer sends a message once and it's only received only once. Well, in mail, it requires a little bit of extra work, just like in Kafka, and we're going to use some tracking. So any sort of mail that has, is officially tracked by whatever service you're shipping it with. I also think that a good illustration of this is a courier service. So if you've watched Suits, that was my pandemic show. In Suits, we have important documents are picked up at the source by a courier. They're signed for at the source, and then they're signed for again on delivery when the consumer receives that important document. So that is exactly once delivery, and that concludes all of our messaging guarantees as we've seen it in mail. So the next time you receive an unruly pile of mail, think about your Kafka delivery semantics. See you later.